Hello, and welcome to Eyes on Success, a weekly program covering a wide variety of topics of interest to people with vision loss. I'm Nancy Goodman Torpey.
And I'm Pete Torpey.
As a visually impaired, there was a phase in life when my vision was dropping drastically. I found myself seeking help for the simplest things in life: making phone calls, managing my contacts, moving around in Uber. And then a turnaround happened. A sighted friend was helping me book Uber. He kept asking me questions and I kept giving the selections. And voila, the booking was done. And this got me thinking, what if I could, right on this phone screen, build a virtual friend, exactly like my friend who was helping me book an Uber? And thus, Louie was born.
And this is the story of how today's guest tried to solve a problem for himself that wound up being very useful for many other people.
We'll speak with Pramit Bhargava about his Louie Voice Control system, and you'll get to hear this system in action and learn how it can be used to perform everyday tasks. But first, for our tip of the week. This week's tip is really more of a life philosophy from Promit.
I can share things from my life, experiences, not as a tip, but just what I've learned the hard way. So one thing, when I analyzed this 3-year lost phase, I realized that I was trying to live life in the past. And often a great idea is to just poke yourself and say, okay, what is it? Where am I? What am I doing right now? How much can I see if I have a vision issue? And what is it that I really want to do? And that's a question I didn't ask myself. I didn't listen to my inner voice. And that was the result, I think, because of which it just took me so long to come out of this lost phase, just trying to live in the past.
Louie, I am sure, is helping you to focus on the future.
I think it has given me a great meaning in life. And, I can tell you, I used to be completely selfish and completely self-centered and, only everything was transactional for me. What is the benefit for me? To move from there to build something that can potentially help others as well. And, with an objective that, can we positively impact lives of others? I think that's a wonderful switch to make. And there cannot be anything more motivating or making one happier and giving peace.
Support for Eyes on Success is provided by
the Hadley Institute for the Blind and Visually Impaired, offering the 2021 New Venture Business Competition to help blind entrepreneurs turn their ideas into actual startups. More information and submission criteria are at www.hadley.edu/NVC.
and by
NaviLens, a 4-color QR code designed to be located and read from up to 60 feet away without the need to focus on it. Personal places and items can be tagged and shared with family and friends with codes obtained inside the NaviLens app, available for iPhone and Android. More information is at navilens.com.
You are listening to Eyes on Success. Success, 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 success.
Let's start by meeting Promit.
I'm Pramit. I'm the founder of Louie Voice Control, and I'm also visually impaired. And Louie Voice is, in a way, all about solving my own problem.
And you are located in India, correct?
That's correct, near Delhi.
Tell us a little bit more about your background. Do you have a computer programming background or a business background?
Oh, okay. I have both actually. So I had a normal vision. I did my computer engineering and then went on to do my MBA. So I left engineering behind, but of course, what you learn stays with you. I then pursued a career which was more in marketing and managing businesses. So I worked with global companies like Unilever, Motorola, Quest Diagnostics.
And I take it you lost most of your vision later in life, so you had to accommodate to doing things in a new way.
Yeah, a lot of it. But it happened about 21 years back that it was reaction of a drug whereby vision just dropped drastically, literally overnight. I was getting some correction, and then I think 9 years back when there was a sudden drop, and that's when everything got cloudy, foggy, and I couldn't read anything at all. So the adjustment has been slow. It was only 9 years back that, like I said, it was so sudden that it took me completely by surprise. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I was sitting at home 3 years, doing nothing, completely dependent on others, not, a lot of fear inside me, not really clear how to get out of it, how to deal with it.
It sounds like you're trying to create some of the solution yourself.
Yes, in a way. And I think I would like to thank a couple of people who actually got me onto this path. Because you can imagine, as I got out of it, I was doing the safe thing, because I was using my past knowledge to do consulting. And then to suddenly think of, stopping all that, getting into a new startup. And yes, of course, it was a big motivator to build something to solve my problem. Yet it can be difficult. But I think what really clinched it is when somebody actually pointed out that, it's almost like a golden opportunity if you can leverage your disability to build something that can not only work for you, but hopefully for other people as well. And that got me thinking. I said, I don't want to be on my deathbed and thinking, oh boy, only if I would have taken that opportunity. So I said, let me give it a shot. Let me take more risk in life, and hopefully things will work out.
Support for Eyes on Success is made possible in part by our corporate partners.
Find out more about partnership opportunities by sending an email to hosts@eyesonsuccess.net.
This week's focus topic is the Louie Voice Control system for smartphones.
In the introduction, you mentioned the name Louie. Can you give us sort of the elevator pitch about what Louie is?
Yeah, sure. It's called Louie Voice Control, and it allows users to give just voice commands to Louie. Louie is like a virtual friend. It will take your voice commands, and it will allow the user to completely control their favorite apps as well as the phone functionality, all with just voice commands.
And is this for Android, iPhone, both?
Currently for Android, because just to tell you, it was a very complex project technically. When I started off, every technical expert, every accessibility expert told me, don't waste your life, you won't be able to build it. Now, having built it for Android, having figured out the tricks of doing it, we want to do technical feasibility in the second half of the year and hopefully have it out for iPhones as well next year.
Nice. And where did you come up with the name Louie?
It so happens that the name is actually inspired from Louis Braille, who was the inventor of Braille. And of course, Braille has had so much impact in our lives. So I think Louie Voice Control, I think I'll be personally happy if it can have at least a fraction of that impact.
Now, when I first found out about this app, I thought, boy, this sounds pretty similar to what iOS calls voice control, which is primarily aimed at people with dexterity problems, whereby you can control your phone just with your voice. But when I looked into it a little bit more, it seems pretty different than that and serves a very special purpose that isn't served by voice control. Can you distinguish the two applications and how Louie is different?
Oh, yes, there is a dramatic difference between the two. So to begin with, the Apple voice control is essentially built for people who are sighted, but with motor disability. Now, Louie is built keeping a blind person in mind who cannot see the screen at all. So that's difference number one. The second difference, let me just highlight it by giving you a very simple example. Let's say as a user, I'm looking to have a glass of water. Now, what one has to do in voice control is that if I have to ask voice control to bring me a glass of water, I need to be able to see the screen. I need to know what are the buttons which are on the screen, because what voice control takes as inputs are the buttons. So literally, I'm just giving a simple example. So literally one has to tell voice control, okay, stand up, stand straight, move your left foot forward, right foot forward, move your hand towards the glass, something like that. You have to really give it step by step based on the buttons on the screen. With Louie, it's very different.
You have to be familiar with the entire UI before you can use voice control effectively.
Completely. Earlier, it used to be numbers on the screen. Now it's a combination of numbers and buttons. So you can speak the buttons also, but you're absolutely right that you got to be able to see it and you got to know it very well. In the case of Louie, I don't need to know anything because Louie, like I said, is a virtual friend sitting right there on the phone screen. It takes my voice commands and it will take care of all the buttons that it needs to press, to get my work done. So if I say, Louie, get me a glass of water, literally, then it's Louie's job to figure out, what all buttons to press and get a glass of water. So there's a very dramatic difference between the two.
Well, it sounds like Louie can be much more functional and very easy to use than voice control on an iOS device.
I'll give you another example. Like, for example, let's take Uber. Now, Uber, often it happens that we have booked a ride and for some reason I want to cancel it, right? And if you got to do it within a certain time frame, otherwise there are penalties. Now, normally what will happen, I won't know how to cancel it, right? Or where the button may be. So Louis, I just say cancel my ride and, it goes and presses the cancel button, pop-up, it handles the pop-up as well, and the task is done. So that's the approach we have taken.
Well, and I heard the demos, and it really seemed like it was more akin to interacting with an Echo device or something like that, where it was a little bit more intelligent about what you were trying to do.
Absolutely. So that brings me to another set of differences. So it's more similar, I would say, to the voice assistants, Alexa, Google Assistant, Siri. But again, I would point out three again, very basic differences. So the first one is that Louie will do each and everything within a supported app. Now, if you take, let's say, the voice assistants, they'll typically do 2 or 3 things. So if you try Siri or a Google Assistant, they'll do 2 or 3 things. Same with Alexa. Second big difference is that Louie does continuous voice interaction. So if you have to get Uber booking done, then Louie has to be continuously handholding the user, telling them what options are there, taking the commands. So it has to be continuous handholding. And the third difference is that Louie is smart. So Louie, you can start off from any screen of the app that it supports. It will figure it out and it will start from wherever the user is. Voice assistants, if you see and you can try it out, they are programmed in a way that they'll always start from where, from the beginning. So you can't open a certain app and you tell Siri, okay, Siri, do this for me. I mean, it doesn't work like that actually. So there's like I said, because it's built keeping a blind person in mind, the entire approach has been very different.
This is really intriguing. Can you demonstrate Louie doing a simple task?
Yes, I would love to.
So you've mentioned Uber many times, including how you got the idea for Louie in the first place when your friend was walking you through all the decisions for hailing an Uber ride. Can you start by demonstrating Uber?
Okay. Hey, Louie.
Hello, Pramit. Good to see you. Which app would you like to use? YouTube, or Uber, or WhatsApp?
Uber.
Say or spell destination.
Park Plaza.
Park Plaza Gurugram. Would you like to select this location?
Yes.
Let's select a ride. Moto, 152 rupees.
Uber Go.
Uber Go, 2, 104 rupees.
Select.
Your pickup location is Hotel Radisson. Your destination is Park Plaza Gurugram. Payment method, test payment. Good to go with Uber Go.
Confirm.
Your booking is confirmed. Your driver is 8 minutes away. Driver profile, 5.0 star rating, white Chevrolet Aveo. Call or message driver.
Message.
Speak your message.
I'm wearing a blue shirt.
Got it.
Send.
Message sent.
That was pretty slick. How about if you show us how it works with YouTube?
All right. YouTube.
Please tell me the name of the video you want to search for.
Happy Original.
Pharrell Williams Happy, official music video, 4 minutes, 1 second. Would you like to play this video?
Yes.
Okay, playing video. Skipping ad. Video pause.
Forward 37 seconds.
Forwarding.
Comment.
Speak your comment.
Hey, this is a great one.
Got it.
Send.
Comment added.
Share video.
Okay, sharing on WhatsApp. Say contact name.
Boss.
Video shared going back to YouTube.
That is so cool. How does it work with contacts?
Contact.
Create a new contact or search for an existing contact.
New contact.
Please speak the number you want to save.
+1 203 458 2829.
Say or spell the name by which you want to save this contact.
William.
Contact saved William.
Delete.
William contact has been deleted.
Edit.
Want to edit name or number?
Name.
Say or spell the new name.
Godfather.
Okay, name edited.
Block.
Okay, contact blocked.
And let's hear how this works with WhatsApp.
All right. WhatsApp.
Latest chat. Boss, 10:49 a.m. Simran, yesterday.
Go to Godfather.
Opening chat. Received, today. This message contains contact card. Do you want to save this contact?
Yes.
Say or spell contact name.
Tech Guru.
Saved.
Create a new group.
Say contact name.
Godfather. Add.
Say contact name.
Boss.
Set the name of the group.
My mentors.
Group created.
Share location.
Current location or live location.
Current.
Current location shared.
Group call.
Voice call or video call.
Video call.
Starting video call. Video call.
Reach out to Pramit. Call or WhatsApp +9 1 9 8 1 1 8 8 6 0 0 1. Email PRAMIT@LOUIEVOICE.com.
Your demonstration included several apps that blind people frequently use. I take it that Louie is tuned to work with specific apps, not across the entire operating system.
That's correct. So the technology that we use allows us to actually work both on the screen as well as under the screen, under the hood, so to say. So what we can do is that we can work, let's say, on top of the screen on any app. So when using Louie, you will actually see most apps opening up and moving from one screen to another. And we can also work with APIs where we don't need to open the app. Now, what this means is that this gives us huge flexibility. Even when a screen is opened, I can actually work under the screen. So theoretically, Louie can voice enable any app. But you're right, it has to be done on an app-to-app basis and not as a general solution, because that's simply not possible.
Yes, because every app is a little bit different and how you interact with every app is a little bit different. But I would guess that you are slowly expanding the number of apps for which Louie can be used.
Absolutely. So right now we are working on 4 different apps. So just to give you a flavor: email, Facebook Messenger, Google search, because that's something, being able to browse around, read articles, and being able to read any kind of document, including a scanned PDF document, because we have just integrated image recognition with Louie. So the other thing, what we have been doing is trying to solve the problems that visually impaired community faces. So for example, images. Now, Louie, for example, in the Messenger would be able to read text message and equally easily be able to tell a user there is an image, this describe the image, as well as read text on the image. Similarly, a lot of areas around the world do not have stable internet or very extremely expensive internet. So Louie can work for apps which can work without internet. Louie works without internet as well.
Oh, I'm impressed. I assumed with all that AI built in that it had to go to the cloud to pick up some of its power.
Right. Absolutely. So, of course, when you're working offline, the accuracy is maybe about 70%. But then, it at least allows you to do your critical tasks. Like, let's say I'm somewhere, there's no internet, I want to call somebody, text message somebody, right? I think that task it does beautifully, actually.
So you mentioned that you have users from all over the world. What languages does Louie work in?
Okay, so we got users currently in 90 plus countries. Right now, it's only in English. So, like I said, going forward, I think we have got three tasks clearly cut out for us. So, one is to voice enable more apps and solve more problems. The second is to get onto platforms such as iPhones. And the third one is to get into more languages. So, the next two languages that we're going to take on, and hopefully in the next 4 5 months. So, the first one would be Spanish, and alongside Hindi, which is used by a lot of people in India.
Sounds like this is an application that benefits you yourself, but it takes a lot of technologists to put something like this together. How did this project gel?
All right. So, I'll just go back a little bit. So, I was doing consulting. I went to meet managing director of a venture capital company. It's a large Silicon Valley based company. They're also big in India. And he heard my story, and suddenly out of the blue, he says, "Why don't you build apps for visually impaired people like yourself?" And it sort of shook me. So he said, "At a personal level, I'll help you." And he was true to his word. So I think that happened. And then there was a chance meeting I had with a friend. I had gone to meet him, and on the way back, he offered to book Uber for me. He took my smartphone. He kept asking me questions, and I kept giving the selections. And voila, the booking was done. And on the way back in Uber, I just thought that was some wonderful experience. It was convenient, and yet as a visually impaired, I want to be independent and I want to be in control. And here I was the one calling the shots. I never felt out of control. So that is when the thought for Louie came, and I said, "Oh boy, if I can build a virtual friend right there on the phone screen, which does exactly what my human friend does." And that's what really got Louie Voice the.
And how big is your team now?
Okay, so we are about 13 people.
Wow.
So apart from me, there are three more visually impaired. The visually impaired team members are essentially into testing and defining the user experience. So that whole user experience is actually what is really critical. And then we got 6 developers. We got a couple of people in the marketing. So it makes up for a team of 13.
Promit, what is your vision for how the Louie tools will be developed in the future?
Okay, so I think two ways is how I sort of look at it. Now, in a pure technology sense, the way we are trying to gradually build it is more like a platform. When I say platform, what I mean is that where Louie Voice is really like a platform on which other apps can come and integrate. So it's a bit like Alexa. You can create your own skills and put it on Alexa. So we want to create something similar like an SDK, which will allow other apps to maybe do 70-80% of the work. We do the last 20% integration, but which will allow us with limited resources to be able to bring lot many more apps on the platform. So that's one. Secondly, from a user perspective, the way I would like to ideally build Louie over the next 3 to 5 years is to make Louie like a completely integral friend in our life. So Louie understands the needs of a visually impaired. Our day begins in the morning with an alarm, with news, with the schedule and whatever else, and then moving around with Uber or whichever other taxi service. So basically it's there the whole day. I can do practically everything on the phone with just voice commands. So that's really I would say the final vision. Yeah, that's the hope, hopefully, because so we currently have investors in India, US, and Singapore. And of course, the thing that they keep pointing out is that, look, there is only a certain number of apps or problems that you can solve with your own resources. So you've got to create a platform where SDK where others can come in and do it themselves.
And what is the funding model for Louie?
Right now, though I call it a social venture because there is a very clear social objective that we have, but otherwise it's structured just like any other tech startup would be in US. So we got investors. So as we go forward, the core model, revenue model that we're really looking at is saying that, look, as these companies voice enable their apps, can we charge the companies? So ideally, we would like to not charge the users, or if at all we have to do it, we want to keep it highly affordable. So that's the approach I want to take, because one part of accessibility, I strongly believe, we talk of accessibility typically in terms of screen readers. Is it accessible with voiceover? But I think one part of accessibility is also affordability. Can I afford it? And I think a project like this will be a waste if only 2% of the people can afford it and use it. And, it's got to be highly accessible for everybody across the world.
Well, especially with unemployment being so high among the visually impaired community, if you can make it if not free, at least very affordable to the user, and have the supplier pay for creating the capability. That's a great model.
Absolutely. So that's the intent.
Well, it sounds like this has really been a fun venture for you and something that you must use daily in your own life.
Oh, yes. I'm the biggest user and the biggest critic of Louie. So I can tell you there is still a massive amount of work to be done. I mean, despite whosoever, people may say great work, etc. But, often I get in touch, I speak to a lot of users directly, and I keep pushing them, tell me how to improve it. Because sometimes something like saying nice app doesn't really help. But when somebody comes back and says, this didn't work, or why don't you make it work this way will be really better, do this, do that, all that helps. And that's what, so a lot of focus right now is on user feedback.
What a creative idea, and I wish you guys a lot of success with it.
Thank you so much.
You are listening to Eyes on Success. Success, 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 success.
Now for this week's final item, how to learn more about the Louie Voice Control system, including how to get the app and how to contact Promit directly.
Promit, if people are interested in learning more about Louie and or acquiring the app, how would they go about that?
All right. So to acquire the app, just head over to Google Play Store. Louie is listed there as Louie Voice Control. And remember, Louie is spelled out as Louie, or you can just type in voice control as well. Even then you will get the Louie listing. It's free to download. And if you would like to get in touch with me, my email ID is there in the Play Store description. But I would anyway spell it out right now as well. So it is pramit@louievoice.com, where Pramit is spelled out as Pramit. And like I had already mentioned, Louie is spelled out as Louie. So pramit@louievoice.com.
Do you have a website?
Yes. So we have a website also, which is www.louievoice.com.
And a social media presence?
Yes, so we do have a presence, so I'll be happy to share that. We are across on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn as well. In some cases in my name, in some cases as Louie Voice.
But you've sent us all of that, and we'll have that in the show notes.
Right, thank you.
And of course, you'll be able to find all of that contact information in the show notes associated with this episode at www.eyesonsuccess.net.
That's it for show number 2121. Next week on Eyes on Success, we will be talking with Larry Skutkan about his life, career, and his new venture in retirement. He worked for many years for the American Printing House for the Blind as a technology specialist, and he has many, many interesting stories to tell.
And that was certainly a fun interview. We hope you'll join us for that next week.
You've been listening to Eyes on Success, hosted and produced by Nancy Goodman Torpey and Peter Torpey, and distributed by WXXI Reach Out Radio.
You can access the full archive of previous shows, subscribe to the podcast, and much more by going to our website, www.eyesonsuccess.net. If you have questions about anything you've heard on the show or have suggestions for future shows, send an email to hosts@eyesonsuccess.net.
Thank you for listening, and have a nice day.